Lane Kiffin is trolling with his availability report. The Ole Miss one is about 10 miles long. It's basically the whole roster. He's pulling a Belichick. Where wasn't Tom Brady questionable every week under Belichick?
Yeah, I mean, what is the point of this? Like, explain the troll to me, because I know Lane Kiffin's always joking around and stuff, but like, what is he doing here to try to make people feel like some people might not play when they're going to play?
I think he's just messing with people. I just think he likes to watch the world burn. South Carolina's is a lot shorter, but two very important names on it. LaNorris Sellers, the starting quarterback, and Rocket Sanders, the best running back, both questionable. Now, Shane Beamer has been very optimistic about the idea of LaNorris Sellers playing. He said on Tuesday that LaNorris Sellers did everything at practice. And so I think they are definitely sort of angling toward him playing here. And look, I think South Carolina can win the game if LaNorris Sellers plays and his ankle is mostly healthy. I do not think they will win if it's Robbie Ashford.
Yeah. Although Robbie Ashford did come in at the end of the LSU game and throw some smoke around. So, you never know. I don't know that I don't know if I'm at the point where I'm considering this game as like, is Ole Miss going to lose again? Like, I still have some faith in this team getting back up after it got knocked down last week and winning the game. But obviously, which side of the spread you pick goes, because I laid the 9.5 with Sellers potentially playing. So
it's just many points. That was my feeling on it. Is when we're talking about that many points, then I'm probably taking the home team, because that's a great environment. And perhaps my judgment is skewed because the last time a really super hyped in the preseason Ole Miss team came to Williams-Brice Stadium was a Thursday night in 2009. And that was the night that the Gamecocks fully embraced Sandstorm, which was kind of hilarious to me because, being I grew up a South Carolina fan, Columbia, originally from Columbia before my family moved to Florida. Like, we weren't always up on the trends. Embracing a 9-year-old Danish EDM song was very on brand for South Carolina. Like, we're going to make this our song, like 9 years after it was popular. And now it's their song. But it was, I will tell you, like, being on the sideline at the end of that game, right in front of the student section, and that, and they're just bopping up and down. It was amazing. So, I don't know. Maybe the memories will flow. The decks at Williams-Brice do sway when things get going. This could be one of those games. All right, let's talk a little bit more about this game. Go a little bit deeper. Our Prize Picks preview of Ole Miss, South Carolina. Prize Picks, of course, is America's best daily fantasy game. Download the app. Use the code Staples when you sign up. Play $5. Get $50 instantly. So the way Prize Picks works is you're picking squares. Players have statistical categories attached to them, and you decide you're going to be more or less. And so I'll give you an example. Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback in this game, his passing yardage number is 287.5. Do you think he'll throw for more than that or less than that? LaNorris Sellers, there is a square for LaNorris, or multiple squares for LaNorris Sellers. His passing square is 161.5. The more interesting one, Ari, to me, is the pass plus rush yards for LaNorris Sellers at 198.5, where if I think if LaNorris Sellers is healthy or healthy enough, he's going to go more than that.
Yeah, if you are on the South Carolina side of this, Andy, then you have to do more than that, right? Like, that's, I mean, because I think that's the hope right there. Like, if you think that's what's going to happen, the thing that scares me a little bit when playing squares of injured players is that there's always a chance that they might not be able to finish the game.
You just may want to avoid those entirely.
Yeah. But I think that's the map right there. I mean, that was kind of the map when South Carolina had LSU on the ropes 3 weeks ago, right? Like, LaNorris Sellers was just going crazy, and then he got injured, and then things kind of fell off the track a little bit. So, the Sellers interception square is interesting too. It's a goblin, which means it's easier. 0.5 interceptions. That one kind of stinks out a little bit too. If they think he's going to throw a pick, I don't know. Man,
I feel like when last we saw LaNorris Sellers, the first half of the LSU game, South Carolina, remember, took the big lead. I think they were up 17-0, and they ended up losing that game because LSU came back in the second half. Sellers got hurt at the end of the first half. They basically, like, you get into the second quarter of that game, they are basically a triple option team at that point that has a passing game that is branching off the triple option. It kind of reminded me like 95 Nebraska. Now, obviously not as dominant as 95 Nebraska, although the first part of that game, they looked pretty dominant. But that's a pretty tough thing to stop if it's working.
Yeah.
If you're stopping it, then you're making it go 3 and out, and you're getting the ball back immediately. So that's the question is how does Ole Miss's defense play this? Now, you saw the massive Ole Miss injury report. Princely Emmanuelin was listed as questionable. So was pretty much everybody else. But Princely Emmanuelin, Jared Ivey would be the ones that I would be watching in that situation. How did they play that option? How do they handle being read? So they could be very important players in this game. And then that will affect that LaNorris Sellers rushing square. It will affect the LaNorris Sellers pass rush square. Let's talk a little bit about Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, you'd think, had a terrible game against Kentucky because Ole Miss only scored 17 points. He actually wasn't the problem. Completed 2/3 of his passes. He's 18 to 27, 261 yards. So it's 9.7 yards per attempt. He was actually fairly efficient in that game. You know, it just they didn't get their run game going much against Kentucky. So I think the question is, can they run the ball against South Carolina? Because this offense, and I know I say this every time, and I'm sure the people who really listen to the show are sick of it. That offense, the old Art Briles Baylor offense, only works when you're running the ball well. If you can't run the ball, you really aren't moving it very well. And against Kentucky, Ole Miss ran the ball 29 times for 92 yards. That's a 3.2 yard average. That is not going to be good enough.
You know, the thing that is so frustrating about this team is that you look around the way there, and the quarterback, you got Trey Harris at receiver, Juice Wells, Freescorn, one of the best tight ends in the country, Parrish at running back. Like, they have all the pieces to never not score. You know what I mean? Or never not run the ball well, or never not throw the ball well. It's like, that's like part of the reason why, like, we talk about preseason notions and like getting obsessed with what you think something's going to be and not being able to let go of it. And it's like, I'm having a hard time letting go of what Ole Miss was supposed to be this year. And I know they had a really tough game against Kentucky, and we think that this is a game that South Carolina can win. But I look at the names on those squares, Andy, and it's just like, how is this offense not going to score 40 points? Like, I think this every single time they play, no matter who they're playing.
Well, I'll just tell you the one that sticks out to me is Henry Parrish Jr., 83.5 rushing yards. If he goes more than that, Ole Miss is winning this game.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it. If they can run the ball, they're going to win. If he goes more than 20 and a half longest rush, I think there's a real good chance they win the game. But if they are averaging 3 yards a carry like they were last week, they're going to lose again.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So, or at least, yeah, I mean, it's just that's the part they got to figure out. We talked about this with Tennessee and Oklahoma. Like, how do you learn to win games differently? And Tennessee runs that offense, but feels like the first team that runs that offense that has figured out how to win games in multiple ways. Ole Miss has to figure out how to win games in multiple ways. So I think this is going to be a tough one. As David in chat says, South Carolina coming off a bye week, just got a blueprint on how to beat Ole Miss. How impactful is that bye week? It's very impactful, especially if it allowed LaNorris Sellers to get healthy. That's really all there is to it. So download your Prize Picks. Use the code Staples when you sign up. Play $5, get $50 instantly. We just gave you the secrets to Ole Miss, South Carolina. Now you got to figure out what you think is going to happen in that game. If you're thinking Ole Miss is bouncing back and winning, then that Henry Parrish more than should feel pretty good to you. If you think South Carolina is going to win this game, that LaNorris Sellers more than on the pass rush total should feel pretty good to you. But we'll see. We shall see.